Thank you for choosing this presentation to view and/or learn about the rezone process. This presentation was created by the Conservation Planning and Zoning Department of Marathon County. Hello, my name is Dominique Swanstu. I am Marathon County's zoning administrator. This will be a presentation about the rezone process. It is important to note a rezone is also the same as a zoning map amendment. Yet, for the purposes of this presentation, we will refer to it as a rezone. As an overview to this presentation, we will be going over what a rezone is and its purpose, as well as two example situations. We'll go over the relationship between zoning districts and land uses. We'll go over some specifics regarding the land uses, specific projects, zoning permits, etc., as well as the zoning districts and their classifications. We will also go over the Chapter 17 rezone standards and considerations for general rezones as well as farmland preservation rezones. And lastly, we will go over the roles and responsibilities of the petitioner, county staff, the town committee, as well as the county board. Rezones and their purpose. A rezone is a change in the zoning district boundaries and/or classifications of a county board approved zoning district map. Every town that has a zoning program has a zoning district map that gets revised every time a rezone is approved. The purpose of a rezone is to allow for a use or uses that are not currently permitted or conditionally approved in the existing zoning district. Adhering to the minimum parcel size of a particular zoning district is also another reason why rezones are required for proposed land divisions. All rezone petitions should be consistent with the town's comprehensive plan. Below is a diagram which gives you some factors that may or may not change as a result of a rezone. Example rezone number 1. The proposed rezone is from the GA zoning district to the RR zoning district, proposing new parcels. As you can see on the top left, the parent/existing parcel is 35.8 acres and is currently zoned general agricultural. The general agricultural zoning district has a 10-acre minimum lot size. In the middle, you will see a proposed land division or subdivision for that area in question. The proposed lots are to be 2 acres or greater to meet the rural residential zoning district minimum lot size standards. In the bottom left, you can see a clip from the Schedule of Regulations, which identifies the minimum lot size for each zoning district in county zoning. If a land division is proposed that does not meet the minimum lot size standards of a zoning district, before the survey can be recorded and approved, a rezone is required. The draft/preliminary survey is used in the rezone application to appropriately change the zoning district of an area of land. For this example, the change was from the general agricultural zoning district to the rural residential zoning district. Once the rezone is approved, the survey can be recorded. As you can see on the right side, that is the result of the rezone approval as well as the land division being recorded. Example rezone number 2. This proposed rezone is to rezone lands from the farmland preservation zoning district to the general agricultural zoning district. This is for an existing parcel with no proposed land divisions. This rezone was required to allow for a proposed vehicle service shop that is not permitted or conditionally approved in the farmland preservation zoning district. Therefore, a rezone to the general agricultural zoning district was requested. The general agricultural zoning district was chosen to allow for the particular use in question, which was the vehicle service shop, but also would allow the owners to do so without requiring a land division. As you can see in the table, for the farmland preservation zoning district in the box, there is no P or C shown. The P stands for permitted use and the C stands for conditional use. If there is neither a P or a C for a particular use in a zoning district, that use is prohibited. In the general agricultural zoning district, there is a C shown. Therefore, a conditional use permit is required for that use. On the bottom of the slide, you will see 2 maps. On the left, you will see the area in question shown prior to the rezone. On the right, you will see a gray box, or gray area, and that is the result of the rezone to the general agricultural zoning district. As you can see, there was no change to the parcel size or configuration. It is important to note that prior to the start of construction or start of use on site, a conditional use permit is required to be obtained from the County Board of Adjustment. Next, we will go over the relationship between zoning districts and land uses. A zoning district is the classification of a specific parcel, group of parcels, or region that is designated and intended for particular uses. A zoning district map is a map of the town which classifies each parcel to a specific zoning district. The zoning designations derive from the town's comprehensive plan land use maps as well as existing site conditions and uses. The zoning districts and their specific standards are tools to help guide development patterns. Zoning districts are used to limit particular uses to specific areas while protecting adjacent uses from possible conflicts. The rezone process, on the other hand, is used to align the intended or proposed zoning classification of a parcel or group of parcels with the town's future land use map, and or to reflect the purpose or intent of the town's comprehensive plan. Rezones also take into consideration future residential needs and patterns, parcel limitations, adjacent parcels and uses, natural areas, as well as the conversion of farmland where applicable. Below, shown in red, you will see some broad use classifications, and these use classifications are often identified in the town's comprehensive plan for its existing and or future land use map. And next to those broad classifications shown in red are their likely zoning districts from the Marathon County Zoning Ordinance. And these are only applicable to county-zoned towns. And as you can see, there are multiple zoning districts for each broad use. So for residential uses, there are the urban residential zoning district, the rural residential zoning district, the rural estate zoning district, and each of these has its own standards and classifications, as well as allowable uses, which could be permitted or conditionally approved. Each zoning district has its own purpose statement in the zoning ordinance, which helps identify the intent of a particular district. For example, below is the purpose statement for the commercial zoning district from Chapter 17. It is important to note, when a rezone is approved, that approval is not the same as approving a specific land use, but only allows for all permitted and conditionally approved uses within that zoning district. Federal, state, and local permits, standards, and requirements still apply and need to be adhered to, applied for, and obtained prior to the start of construction, operation, or site alterations. Next, we will review land uses. Different uses may be permitted in each zoning district, provided that the development also meets the design and building standards set forth in each district, along with all other applicable development standards contained in the zoning ordinance. As alluded to above, there are different land uses and broad classifications. As you can see in the table, we have it divvied up into residential uses, agricultural districts, and non-residential districts. And shown are the residential uses for all of those districts. As you can see by looking at any of those particular uses, such as a two-family dwelling, they are permitted in all of the residentially zoned districts, whereas they are not permitted or conditionally approved in the non-residential districts, such as the neighborhood commercial district. This is to ensure that any proposed use or uses in a particular zoning district on a parcel is consistent with the purpose and intent of that district. Land uses often require permits, approvals, and plan evaluations prior to the start of construction or beginning of use on site. As a quick recap, we will go over these again. A zoning district is a zoning classification of a specific parcel or group of parcels which allows for all permitted and conditionally approved uses in that zoning district. For example, zoning district, we will use the rural residential. Moving on to land uses, a land use is a specific development, business, or activity that is allowed in a particular zoning district. Different uses have different standards, and the standards vary from district to district. So within that rural residential zoning district, we have chosen the single-family residence, and that is a permitted use within that district. Prior to commencing that use or starting construction, a specific project or development requires plan review and approval by applying the standards and requirements of that use in that specific zoning district. These standards include things such as setbacks, height limitations, and maximum building size. As alluded to, prior to the start of construction on the new single-family home for that specific project, we apply all the standards, the federal, state, and local requirements and permits, as well as the standards for that particular land use, which is based off the standards from that zoning district. Next, we will go over the Chapter 17 rezone standards and considerations. Below, you will find the standards for rezone petitions for all of the zoning districts within the Marathon County zoning ordinance, except for that of the Farmland Preservation Zoning District. The Farmland Preservation Zoning District is a DATCAP approved district and has specific standards set by the state. Prior to approving any rezone, the county takes the following into consideration to ensure a rezone meets all of the zoning standards, as well as takes into consideration adjacent land uses and its possible effects on natural areas. Next, we'll go over the Chapter 17 rezone standards and considerations for the Farmland Preservation Zoning District. The standards for rezoning lands from the Farmland Preservation Zoning District differ from those of the other zoning districts in the zoning ordinance because the Farmland Preservation Program is a DATCAP approved program and needs to adhere to state standards. Moving on, we will go over the roles and responsibilities. First, the petitioner. The petitioner's responsibility is primarily to work with the county staff to ensure they have a complete rezone petition itself, as well as provide us with a legal land description or a preliminary certified survey map where applicable. The petitioner works with county staff to ensure the rezone petition meets all applicable standards, requirements, as well as is appropriate for the area in question. Below you will see part of the rezone petition. It is important to note the rezone petition form itself differs for all rezones from other zoning districts from that of rezones from the Farmland Preservation Zoning District due to the DATCAP approved program, as well as the specific state set standards. Below you will see the second half of the rezone petition. As alluded to above, rezones from the Farmland Preservation Zoning District have specific standards that differ from those of other zoning districts. Therefore, there is a different rezone form for rezones from the Farmland Preservation Zoning District to ensure the state set standards are adhered to. County staff and town involvement. County staff's primary duties involve assisting with completing the rezone petition and ensuring its applicability, providing guidance to the resident or petitioner regarding the feasibility or likelihood of the rezone petition being approved based on the standards. County sends notices consistent with Wisconsin statute to the town as well as adjacent property owners within 300 feet. We facilitate discussions with the town's committees as well as county board. And finally, create a staff report from the findings of fact and rezone petition to formally give a recommendation to the Environmental Resources Committee. The towns, on the other hand, once notified of the rezone, the town should hold at least one town board and or planning commission meeting. The town reviews its comprehensive plan to ensure the rezone proposal meets all applicable standards and is consistent with the town's objectives and goals identified in its comprehensive plan. The town communicates its concerns and comments with the petitioner, county staff, the committee, as well as the county board. And lastly, the town provides its recommendation through a formal town resolution submitted prior to the Environmental Resources Committee. The petition is shown on the right of the slide. As you can see, there are approximately 11 questions that need to be answered by the town to be considered. It is important to note that town board review and or approval is not required by state statute for a rezone to be approved or denied. Lastly, the ERC Decision Form and Standards. The ERC stands for Environmental Resources Committee. The ERC reviews each petition and needs to answer the questions and the conclusions of law shown on the right. This is to determine if the committee should recommend approval or a denial to the county board or postpone the petition for further consideration. Postponing for further consideration often refers to bringing a petition back to the town in question to ensure their concerns or questions can be answered by the petitioner. Additionally, postponing a petition could also help a petitioner gather additional information in order to ease the concerns or questions of the committee itself. When and if the rezone is approved by the ERC, the petition goes to the full county board for final approval. Once approved by the county board, the rezone is finalized and the zoning maps are adjusted to reflect the change in zoning classification. Once this is all done, any pending land divisions or surveys can be processed and recorded to conclude the process. Thank you for viewing this presentation. If you have any questions on rezones or other zoning matters, please see my contact information below. Thank you and have a wonderful day.